Jesus attended a wedding in Cana, a small historical town nestled in the hills of Galilee. The celebration was in full swing, with guests reveling in joy, laughter ringing through the air, and music echoing down the narrow stone-lined streets. The delicious aroma of freshly cooked meals wafted through the air, blending with the sweet scent of wine and the fragrance of flowers adorning the venue. The hosts were known for their hospitality, but as the evening wore on, the unimaginable happened. The wine, the lifeblood of the festivities, was running low. The atmosphere, once so vibrant and lively, threatened to turn sour. The hosts, in their desperation, turned to Jesus, a respected guest and spiritual luminary. With a serene smile on his face, Jesus, famous for his miracles, decided to intervene. He didn't want the celebrations to be marred by something as trivial as a shortage of wine. He instructed the servants, with their brows furrowed in worry, to fill 6 large stone water jars. Each jar, carefully crafted by the skilled hands of local artisans, possessed the capacity to hold 20 to 30 gallons of liquid. As the servants dutifully completed the task, a stunned silence fell over the observing guests. Then, something extraordinary happened. The water, once clear and pure, began to ripple and swirl as it miraculously transformed into an enticing, ruby-red wine. It was a sight to behold, a testament to the divine intervention that had just taken place. The master of the feast, an expert connoisseur, tasted the new wine. His eyes lit up in surprise and appreciation. He declared it in front of the astonished crowd to be of exceptional quality. The festival resumed, the atmosphere now even more jubilant than before. A royal official, a man of influence and power, asked Jesus to heal his desperately ill son who was near the brink of death. The official, fraught with worry and fear, had traveled a great distance, all in the hope that his child might be spared. He approached Jesus, a figure of humility and compassion, with a request that was as much a plea as it was a test of faith. The official knelt before Jesus, his eyes filled with sorrow and desperation. His son, his precious child, was on the edge of life, the once vibrant laughter now replaced by the eerie silence of disease. He had heard tales of Jesus, a man who was said to heal the sick, to give sight to the blind, to make the lame walk. He had heard of miracles being performed, of lives being altered. But this was his child, his son, his world. Would the healing touch of Jesus reach him too? Jesus, in his infinite wisdom and boundless compassion, told the official that his son would indeed live. His words were soft, yet they carried the weight of unshakable faith. The official's heart swelled with a newfound hope, a spark of belief ignited within him. As he made the journey back home, each step was fueled by a mixture of anticipation and dread. When the official returned home, his heart pounding in his chest, he found his son healed. It was a miracle that defied all logic, yet it was as real as the joyous laughter that filled his home. The healing had occurred at the exact time Jesus had spoken the words, a testament to the divine power of faith and belief. A paralyzed man was brought to Jesus by his friends. They were relentless in their hope, steadfast in their faith, that perhaps this could be the man who would deliver their friend from the harrowing bondage of his affliction. The condition was unbearable, a misery that had robbed him of his life's joys. Their friendship was stronger disability, and so they sought help from the only place that offered the slightest glimmer of hope: Jesus. The ambiguity hung in the air as they carried their friend on a mat through a bustling crowd. People watched curiously, whispering among themselves, speculating about what might happen next. The friends, however, did not care. They were focused on their mission, determined to get their friend to Jesus. Once they arrived, Jesus observed the man. His heart was filled with compassion. His eyes reflected a profound understanding of the man's pain. The air was thick with anticipation, everyone expecting a miraculous physical healing to take place. Instead, Jesus chose another path. He first forgave the man's sins. This unusual act, this unexpected proclamation, shockwaves through the crowd, stirring up a whirlwind of controversy among the religious leaders. The leaders were astounded, and their faces filled with disbelief and indignation. They questioned his authority, and their whispers turned into loud murmurs of discontent. How could he, a simple man, forgive sins? The disapproval was palpable, the confusion evident. Yet, in the midst of this brewing storm, Jesus remained unperturbed. To demonstrate his authority and to silence the growing voices of doubt, He calmly instructed the paralyzed man to pick up his mat and walk. With faith as his guiding light, the man stood, his body no longer a prison, but a testament to divine healing. Indeed, he was healed. A large crowd followed Jesus, drawn by the magnetism of his words, the kindness in his eyes, and the stories of his miracles. This crowd consisted of men, women, and children, all from different walks of life coming together, united by their faith and hope. The hot sun blazed down on them, casting long shadows on the ground. Despite the heat and the dust, they trailed after Jesus, their eager eyes reflecting their unwavering faith. As the day wore on, a collective murmur of hunger echoed among the masses. Jesus, with his keen and compassionate eyes, noticed this. He understood their needs, not just for spiritual nourishment, but for physical sustenance as well. From the depths of his compassion, he decided to feed them. With just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, an amount so meager one might laugh at the thought of it feeding more than a few, he planned to satisfy the hunger of the entire multitude. As he prayed over the food, a miracle happened. The food began to multiply, growing and expanding until it was more than enough to feed everyone. The crowd watched in awe and disbelief as the food was distributed, everyone receiving their share. What started out as a simple act of compassion turned into a miraculous display of divine providence. The skeptical became believers, and the believers had their faith reaffirmed. After everyone had eaten their fill, the disciples collected the leftovers. It was an astonishing surplus, a testament to the magnitude of the miracle that had just occurred. The meager amount of food miraculously multiplied to satisfy the hunger of the entire multitude, with leftovers collected afterward. After feeding a multitude of 5,000, Jesus, the seminal figure of Christianity, instructed his dedicated disciples to venture across the Sea of Galilee in a humble boat. This sea, also known as Kinneret, Lake of Gennesaret, or Lake Tiberias, has been a silent witness to numerous miracles performed by Jesus Christ himself. The disciples, men of principle and faith, adhered to Jesus' command and embarked on the journey, unaware of the divine spectacle that awaited them. As darkness enveloped the sea, a storm, fierce and unpredictable, began to rage. It churned the once calm waters of the lake into a ballet of uncertainty. The disciples, though seasoned fishermen, were gripped by fear as the boat rocked violently against the capricious waves. Yet it was amidst this maelstrom that an extraordinary event began to unfold. Jesus, who had remained on the shore, commenced his unprecedented walk on water. Defying the very laws of nature, he tread upon the tumultuous with a calm and serene demeanor. His figure, illuminated by the ethereal glow of the moonlight, was a beacon of comfort and hope for his disciples amidst the tempest. Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, was so overwhelmed by the sight that he dared to replicate his master's miraculous feat. Showing an exceptional display of faith, Peter too, albeit briefly, succeeded in walking on water. However, his faith wavered, doubt crept into his heart, and he found himself sinking into the chilly depths of the sea. His brief moment of glory, followed by his rapid descent, is a testament to the power of unwavering faith and human susceptibility to doubt. Jesus encountered a man blind from birth. He made a paste with saliva and dirt, applied it to the man's eyes, and instructed him to wash in the pool of Siloam. The man gained his sight. Lazarus, a friend of Jesus, had died and was in a tomb for 4 days. Jesus, moved by compassion, commanded Lazarus to come out of the tomb, and he emerged alive. Jesus was crucified, died, and was buried in a tomb. On the 3rd day, the tomb was found empty, and angels announced that Jesus had risen from the dead. Jesus appeared to his disciples, providing them with evidence of his resurrection. These miracles are foundational to the Christian belief in Jesus as the Son of God and the Savior. They are seen as demonstrations of his divinity, compassion, and authority over nature and life.